Oh, hello. First time going live. Thank you to all the subscribers that allowed me to have this function since, they put it behind a wall of having a certain number of subscribers before you can go live, which is cool. I needed the time to get myself together, so it's understandable to a certain extent. And as I move the camera forward, forgive me for the shaking. Um, Tripod. Anyway, so needless to say, it's been a minute. Um, and quite a few things have changed, especially since I first started this channel. My goodness. So a little reminder: I started this channel first and foremost behind um, what was it, 2020? Like around the time that the the notes were starting to come out about the upcoming new gaming consoles, the Sony PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S. And the Xbox was the first to make their information known that they would be the most powerful console this go round. And, there's a lot being said about teraflops. Now, let me give you a little bit of background, at least about me. Do more now, 8. Anyway, Norealer. Um, I've been gaming for first gaming system I got my hands on was the Atari 2600. I didn't own it, but I had a cousin that owned it. And when I went over to their house, I was like, wow, Pitfall was the game. Like Pitfall was everything. Um, I'm sure they had a ton of games, but I didn't always get to play what I wanted to. I just kind of played what was available to me. But Pitfall was just amazing. Now, mind you, that was a long time ago. Most people in the gaming space, probably the people who watch this video, that is so far beyond before you were probably born. So, one thing for people like myself who've been gaming for a long time, when talking about our experiences, for the audience that's after us, it's hard for us to articulate or express or allow you to understand what those experiences were like because there's nothing that you can relate to because we're talking about a time where there were no cell phones, were no pagers or beepers. There were only a handful of TV channels. The cable wasn't an option. Satellite wasn't an option in most homes at this time. It was a different world. So what we experienced and how we experienced it and the enjoyment of what we experienced is something that most people cannot relate to. And the transition from going from the 2600 to the 7800, which is when I got my first console. And even before that, I did have the little Magnavox thing where you just played Pong, had that. But as far as a game console, the Atari 7800 was my first, got it for my birthday, and that was that. The first Nintendo I got was the Nintendo Action Set. So I was even late getting into the Nintendo because I had a friend that had Nintendo and I was able to play over at his house. But it wasn't until the Nintendo had the regular version, which was $79, the action version that came with the gun for Duck Hunt, which was $99, and the Power Pad set that came with the Power Pad for track and field, which was $149. I, wanting to make it easier for my mom, opted for the action set so I could have the gun for Duck Hunt and do the 99. Even though, of course, if I was like didn't care, I'd be like, I want the 150 because I want everything like any other kid. But and I didn't want to go 79 because come on, you wanna what's 20 more dollars? Get the gun. Um so yeah, so first system 7800, second system Nintendo action set with the gun for Duck Hunt. Third system would be Nintendo. Um, Third system would be Super Nintendo, and then after Super Nintendo was Nintendo 64. What we got here? Thanks. Um, So Nintendo 64 I got when I was actually in college, was working a job, so I was able to pay my own money, and I'm pretty sure it cost me like around $200, I think, for the Nintendo 64 when it came out. Now, again, college student, living on campus, working a job, trying to get through school. The games, when they first came out, when Nintendo 64 first came out, those games were like 79, 69, 69, 79, maybe 59. But some of those games were $79 at Toys R Us. Yeah, there was no GameStop, so there was no Amazon. The games were not at Walmart. There was no Walmart at that time. What am I talking about? There was no Walmart. Um, yeah. So KB Toys, perhaps, but again, these Nintendo 64, they were expensive. All right. Um, yeah, EB Games. Yeah. Um, but I think I was at the time in St. Louis, Missouri, and for whatever reason, it was easier for me to go to Northwest Plaza and go to the mall and Toys R Us, where I actually ended up working when I graduated from college. I worked Toys R Us overnight, Sears in the morning, and CompUSA during the day. Three jobs at the same time. Whole nother issue. Anyway, so when I was in college, I had some friends that had the PlayStation, and they were talking about how they had all these games, all the CDs, and of course they were able to mod their PlayStation or eventually get modded PlayStation, so they just had ridiculous amount of games. But I was content with my 64. I liked the games on my 64. I liked the graphics and all of that. They used to card hard for PS2 games back then. Really interesting. Well, we hadn't got to PS2 yet. Hadn't got to PS2 yet, because 64 was we're talking mid 90s, like 95, 96, 97, around that time. Because I graduated about 99, and then I was kind of done with gaming because, of course, I'm trying to do life as an adult. And then I got into a situation or position in life where I had some options, and I was by that time I was in California. So came in California about 2001, had some options, and I opted to get a PlayStation 2. Now, when I got it, they already had PlayStation 2 had already been out. So when I got it brand new, but I was able to get it with a ton of used games or games at a really good discount. So I was happy. Um, and I enjoyed a PlayStation 2. Like, that was new for me. I didn't own a PlayStation 1. PlayStation 2 was amazing. Like, I loved it, loved it, loved it. Because it was affordable. And the games were good. The games were good. So, these were during the classic days of NBA Street Volume 2, which I actually played a now by this time, Game Crazy, there was before GameStop, there was Game Crazy. And Game Crazy, they did they did like a competition for NFL Street when it came out. So the game is just coming out. You didn't even really know how to play. And like, I think the game had been out less than a week, and they had a competition, and I went in there and actually won the competition. It was kind of cool. But realistically, I was playing against kids. It wasn't fair. No, I won't say it wasn't fair, but it wasn't that many people, and I kind of had, kind of knew what I was doing. But anyway, um, so here we go. Moving on in life, getting to a situation where at this point I'm kind of done with the gaming thing. But I'm working, and I'm working a nice job, and things are cool. And what happens? Pop, popularity of things. As far as pop culture, video games is still pop culture. So I'm working, like I said, doing pretty good on the financial side. They coming out with the PS3, and they coming out the Xbox 360. And I wasn't really studying it. I'm like, I'm cool on that stuff. Cost a lot of money, this, that, and the third. I'm like, I'm good. But I'm making good money. So I was like, why not? Let me do something for myself. I get a PS3. Get a PS3, and they had the 360 Elite that had came out, like the all black with the headset and the whole nine. So I was like, let me just get it and I can sell it, make some money. I get it. Cause, it was kind of hard to get, I guess, for some people or whatever. I got it. And I was thinking about, like, let me just check it out. Opened it up, liked it, saw it, got to playing it. Played Halo. I think that was Halo 3 at the time. It was the first Halo where you could play four people at the same time for the campaign. That was ridiculous. And so I just fell in love with that. Um, and that was cool. Now, before the 360, I actually knew somebody who had an Xbox, and I did play their Xbox um, to play Halo for the first time or whatever. And it, I liked the controller, but I was just kind of like, I just didn't get into it. I didn't get, deep into it. And to be honest, there were just a lot of games on the PlayStation. Like again, I PlayStation 2. There were just so many games that I was already hardcore in and enjoying on PlayStation that Xbox just there wasn't enough on there to really get my attention. So 360, I enjoyed Halo, I enjoyed Gears of War, I enjoyed maybe a few other things that they had. And I don't think they had Killer Instinct at that time. Because Killer Instinct was like my favorite game on 64 as far as fighting game. And yeah, the 64. Loved, love, love, love Killer Instinct. So anyway, um, so that's a little background, a little history of like how I got through the gaming thing or my gaming background, gaming experience. Um, of course, the Red Ring of Death came, the red whatever happened with the PS3. Um, I eventually got a PS4 when they had been out for a long time. I don't even remember what the circumstances were with me getting it. I just got it. Don't remember much about it. Um, you know, it was just like getting a different pair of shoes at that point. It was just what you do. So, had fun with that. And, again, I got it after it had already been out for a while. So, it wasn't a big deal. But when the PS5 came out, or the hype behind the PS5, the hype behind the Xbox um, Series X, Series S, I guess it just caught me at the right time. Right place, right time. Looking at it online, hearing the information, watching YouTube videos, seeing people talk about it. And I was like, okay, let's see what this is about. Now, to be fair, based on the story I just told, I was pretty much pro more so PlayStation than Xbox. Um, when Bioshock first came out, I was on Xbox. I did enjoy that. But I'm not I'm not a horror guy. I played Resident Evil on 64. I'm it I'm not one of those people. Horror is a huge popular franchise. Zombies, huge popular franchises as far as subject matter, whatever. Doesn't appeal to me. So a lot of the Xbox games had those dark horror aspects and just didn't rock. I didn't rock with it. BioShock was one of the few that I was like, okay, I liked it, but I wasn't up for the part two or whatever. And that style of game, what you see in the hands and this, that, and the third, it started to after the first time, it just I don't know. I just I didn't like it. I didn't like it as much afterwards. Your mom doesn't like horror games either. Understood. Yeah, it's not my thing. And a lot of times when I would see like I don't know if this was during the Xbox One era or this current era of Series X and S, but a lot of times when I would see these are the new games coming out for Xbox, they would be dark. they would be dark. And so I'm pretty sure it was the Xbox Series, or the Xbox One era, or whatever, during the PS4 era. Their games just always seemed dark, and I was just like, it's not appeal. It wasn't appealing to me. Um, and so again, so when the Xbox Series S and X were being announced, and they were talking about this the more powerful console, blah blah blah. This is before they released the prices. This was early in the year, and Sony made their little statement about what they were doing on YouTube in the comment section with these videos. Xbox people were going off. We finna kill y'all this generation. We got the more powerful console. Y'all console sucks. Y'all know what y'all talking about. And a lot of the comments were really trying to be technical and talk about the specs of the different consoles. That's what was going on. Everybody, all of a sudden, console people were talking about all these computer type specs like they knew something. And it was laughable. And again, this is what caused me to make a channel, because I got tired of typing in the comment section, letting these people know they didn't know what they were talking about. And it really didn't matter because it's about the games. Okay. But again, Xbox people, the year that the current generation was being announced, they were all talking about how more powerful their system was going to be, and how it was just going to wipe the floor with PlayStation. Needless to say, once the prices once they announced the prices, once they did all that stuff, I was on the phone with a friend, and he was like, "Yo, it was when when Sony did their announcement. When Sony did their announcement, they up the price and said it's gonna go live tomorrow, whatever, yada yada, right?" My friend hit me up, was like, "Yo, people doing pre-orders literally right now." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, somebody, sent a picture, yada yada yada, like, check it out." We went on Best Buy. I had no intentions whatsoever of spending the money. I didn't have the money, not really. And I pulled the trigger. I did a pre-order for a PS5. The day they made the announcement, they weren't supposed to go on for pre-order till the next day. I got my pre-order in same day at Best Buy. And I think he did too. Yeah. So, and I ended up getting everything. I got the PlayStation 5 with the disc, the headset, extra controller, the controller docking station, the charging station, um, the remote control. I went all out. Um, and needless to say, we know how things went. Digital Foundry, game after game after game, they're running better on the PS5 than they are on the Xbox. We know how it went. The sales. More people bought the PS5s than bought the Series X and S. We also know what happened. For almost the first 2 years, Xbox didn't even have any exclusives. Their Halo got pushed back. Any of their, any of their first party games got pushed back. They literally had no real first party games for like almost, I want to say, the first 2 years. It was a long time before their games came out. A long time. And this was on your launch of your most powerful console launches, and you don't have exclusive games. Let that sink in if you can. So, PlayStation does what they do. You can't get a PlayStation 5. They're hard to get, this, that, and the third. My girl bought 13. Now, mind you, this is when, I don't know if guys know the guy. I can't say his name, but he has a, I don't want to say disability, but he has some kind of illness, and he was helping people get PlayStation 5s, like telling them where to go, where to look, how to do it, how to, be online at the right time and do this and do that to get a PlayStation 5. So I put her on game with that. And she okay, so let me rewind that. Let me make that clear. So I got a PS5, but I didn't tell nobody. When she knew I was into it, and I think it was for my birthday or Christmas, she bought me a PS5. I was like, I had no idea, and I was like totally floored that she would do that. So I sold mine. So I sold mine used, still good, got some good money for it. Got a different got a newer PlayStation 5, and then she got one. So she bought one for me. She bought one for herself. Everybody that she knew, everybody we knew was looking for them. She got a kick out of following the system, getting text messages, following the alerts, and getting online and buying them, whether it was Target, whether it was Walmart, whether it was GameStop, whether it was Best Buy, she was buying them. And so she literally and didn't make a single dollar because everyone she bought for somebody she knew, and she only charged them what it cost, 13 PS5s, when people couldn't get them. And I even stood out in line at a Walmart overnight for a friend so that they could get it. So just again, just some of the story. Now, as we know, as time went on, PlayStation is outselling Xbox 3-1. The PS4 compared to the Xbox One, that whole generation, it was 2-1. PlayStation 5 was on track 3-1. And for those who don't know, the last quarter, holiday quarter of 2024, it was 5-1. Now, this is how we get to the point of why I'm even going live and putting this out, because I wanted to do this all professional. I have new equipment, new cameras. I got an A and B camera. I got, I got some stuff, but I had to get on here and do this because I've been online. I watch MBG a lot in his lives, and of course I've seen some other people talk. I've seen some people disappear too, but there are so many Xbox people who get paid by Microsoft and supported by Microsoft that are out here just talking crazy. And I can't let it go without addressing it. Now, let me start with this. I've said it before on my channel, and I'll say it again. I have a huge problem with people who want to say that the console war is immature, toxic, blah, 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 blah. I'm no realer. It don't get no realer than this. And you can't get me with maturity, intelligence, articulation. I got you on all the fronts, times 10. How dare anybody live in this country, see grown people from senior citizens to children support and root for their favorite team, whether it be hockey, baseball, basketball, tennis, baseball, you name it, college sports, whatever. They spending $100 on uh, jerseys and merch. They spending hundreds of dollars on tickets, thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousand dollars on season passes. Like, come on. Sports is a multi-billion dollar industry supported by whole TV station networks. Like, the billion-dollar industry of sports literally creates jobs in a city. Like, it's a big deal. You know, championships, the Super Bowl, like the tickets for the Super Bowl. I mean, come on, we know what it is. So how can you look at that and say that that's different, any different than people who have their favorite gaming console, their team, as it were, that they've supported for darn near 20 years or most of their life, and they have a preference or they like it? It's their team they rep, and they have a rival in the other team, and they talk their smack, just like people talk If you're a Cowboy fan or you're a Cowboy hater or you don't like the Cowboys, or let me go with the ones everybody know. Dodgers, Yankees. They've just won the World Series. Heard people talk, they talk. Lakers, Boston Celtics. You know what it is. Kansas City Eagles. Like, people have their talk, have their favorites, cheer their fans, the whole 9 yards. People cry over games. People paint their faces, wear no clothes in 0-degree weather. And we don't call that toxic and immature. We say that's just fans, that's just sports, that's just whatever. We talk about sports bringing people together. We talk about sports helping children stay out of trouble because they're doing something productive. And somehow playing video games is not productive. There aren't any skills that you're learning. There aren't hand-eye coordination. It's not something to do rather than getting into trouble. So, so that's my number one. Number one, quit with the console wars being toxic and immature. Do people go too far? Sure. They do it in everything. Look at your politics. Look at your sports. Everybody does it on some level. Somebody takes it too far. But to throw away the baby with the bathwater, no. Make it make sense. Everybody who has a preference of a particular console is not immature or childish. There's nothing wrong with repping your team. Now, that being said, if you have a rival and y'all are going head to head and you're fighting in the championship every year, it's just you two, and you win, you're going to celebrate. You're going to want to celebrate your win. Case in point, the Super Bowl halftime show. Kendrick Lamar beats and murders Drake last year in a rap battle that lasted about a week or two or whatever. But he has a victory lap that has gone on for over a year now, or darn near a year, and people still rolling with it. Hate at the highest level, and people are celebrating it. People are loving it. And I'm in LA, so that's all they play on the radio. He has his victory lap. So you telling me PlayStation beats Xbox for 10 years straight, to the point where Xbox is like, dang, my butt hurt. I can't keep taking these weapons. Matter of fact, we not even go play no more. We ain't even showing up to the championship game no more. Matter of fact, we ain't even coming to the playoffs. Matter of fact, we're not even gonna play at all. Matter of fact, we taking our team and we're no longer gonna be a team that plays against you. What we're gonna do, this is Xbox. This is the analogy that somebody needs to hear. Xbox, Microsoft has decided to no longer be a team that plays against Sony PlayStation, but instead they've taken a step back and said, we're going to be a sports agency or a third party publisher. And we're just going to focus on, I'm not going to say making games. I'm not going to say, no. Microsoft is a monopoly. For those who don't know, if you wasn't around during the late 90s and how they had to go to court and how they pretty much played the games in the political world, lobbyists and all that kind of stuff, filled the right pockets, made things work in their favor, and they were allowed to be a monopoly in the PC market. That's the history of Microsoft. They stole from Apple before they even got to the point that they were. They did a lot of crooked stuff, and that's how Microsoft became the $1 trillion company that they are, with software that's in everybody's PC mainly, putting Linux out and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, that I ain't got time to educate you on that. So in the gaming space, they want to buy up Activision, Blizzard,